Hello, this is Natasha from YMO Homeschool, and today I'm going to show you the Memoria Press second grade enrichment. Now, I want to kind of walk you through a week to show you what a week for the second grade enrichment looks like. So the first thing that you will need is this second grade enrichment guide. This is by the Memoria Press Classical Core Curriculum. I'm going to go ahead and open up to week 2 here. And you'll see that it tells you exactly what to do for each part of this. And in addition, I have lesson plans, and in those lesson plans, they give you a printout that you can print out, and I had these bound for the different subjects. However, you could just use the regular Memoria Press curriculum guide, but I like to have the printable ones so I can write on them and keep my actual guide nice and clean. So I'm going to show you week 2 and all the different components. What you'll notice is that everything ties together. So that's super cool. So what you'll do is you'll look, and on Monday it says read aloud book for the week, The Boy Who Drew Birds. And so that is this book here. Now I got this from the library. Some of the books I got from the library, and the ones that were not available at my library, for instance this one I'll talk about in a minute, I picked up from thrift books. You can also buy complete sets of these science and enrichment books from Memoria Press. So what you will do is you will read this book to your student. Now it does recommend that you read this book every day if you can. And so this kind of reminds me of 5 in a row, if you're familiar with 5 in a row, where if you can read the book every day, and then it has all different kinds of activities to go along with that theme and with that book. That's super cool. The difference to me in 5 in a row versus Memoria Press is that everything is literally planned out for me, and I don't have to choose which activities I want to do. I don't have to plan anything. And in 5 in a row, you definitely have to plan. Okay, so read aloud book for the week. Then I would go here, and there is quite a lot of information for the read aloud book. So it gives you an overview. You talk about the author and illustrator before you read. Talk about bird watching. Have you ever watched birds? Where? What kind of birds? How must you behave when watching birds? What tools will be most helpful for bird watching? What senses do you use when bird watching? And explain that a scientist who studies bird is called an ornithologist. And then it gives you tons of vocabulary words that come from the story. So you can go over those if you'd like. And then picture review and comprehension. Now what you'll notice here is the first time you're reading this book, you will stop and ask these questions. So every time you see a little star, that is when you turn the page. So you turn the page, then you'll ask all these questions, turn the page. Okay, so as you're going through the story, you're asking questions about the story. Notice it's long. It is really long. So you're not just reading the book, but you're really going through the book. And then after you read, following the end of the story is a brief biography of John James Audubon. After reading this, notice on the opposite page a picture he did of the Pee-wee flycatcher. The reference says none of his cave drawings survived, but this is the same bird done at a later time. Then it has a language lesson. This tells you to introduce the bibliography, how many books did the author use as a reference in writing his book, point out the way the name of the book is italicized with main words capitalized, show how commas are used. I mean, this is in depth. Okay, so that is Monday, or the first day, whatever you do. We don't necessarily do this on the exact days. Then on Tuesday, you'll have the music enrichment guide. And now here's the only thing that I have found that doesn't really go with the rest is the music enrichment. But this guide, I'll probably do a separate video on this, but basically gives you a selection to listen to. There's a web link on Memoria Press to listen to the selection, and then you answer these questions. But this I haven't seen really ties in with the rest of the enrichment, but all the other enrichment seems to go together quite nicely. So it tells you the music and then the art. Now for the art, you will have these art cards. These are 5x7 cards, so what I think I'm going to do with them is actually put them in a photo album. But for this week's art selection, it's Trumpeter Swan. And so you see how this fits in with the bird theme. On the back of the card, it gives information about that. And then we'll see in the guide here, the enrichment guide, we have the art, and it says no biography is needed as the read aloud is a biography. And the art piece is a beautiful description of a waterfowl found exclusively on the North American continent. So sometimes they'll have a biography of the artist, but since the book is a biography of the artist, it's not giving a separate biography. Okay, then the next day is a poem for the week. Be Like a Bird, a child's book of poems, page 17. So you'd come here. This is a beautiful book. You'd go to page 17, Be Like a Bird, and you would read that poem. And then in the enrichment guide, it gives you more information about the author of the poem, and it talks about different things. Why would a bird stop flying on land and land on a branch that wasn't strong or steady? It gives you questions to ask about the poem. Okay? Then the next day, history and culture and American studies. So history and culture tells you to go to the second grade enrichment guide, week 2. That is this. And so you would go through these. Read the supplemental information in the back of the read aloud book. List 5 important facts about John James Audubon using your composition and sketchbook. Write 1 well-composed sentence identifying the most important thing. And that is this book right here, Composition and Sketchbook. Now this is from Memoria Press. It came with the second grade kit, but you could just use really any old notebook. And I will show you what my daughter did for week 1 for Johnny Appleseed. So she wrote 1 well-composed sentence and then drew a picture. So it kind of is supposed to capture the main idea. So she wrote Johnny Appleseed helped people plant apples so they could live. And there's her picture. So for this week, week 2, we would just turn to the next page and she would write a sentence and draw her picture there. So that's all this is. It's just a blank composition notebook. Okay? And then it says, stories of great Americans for little Americans, how Audubon came to know about birds and Audubon in the wild woods. You'll see that right here, listed here too. And that you will go to this book. Okay, let's see if I can find those. Okay, so chapter 34 and 35, that's on 93. So you would read this to your student, and then the next chapter. Whoops. Okay, so that's a little bit of history in there too. And then science on the last day, second grade enrichment guide week 2, and then patterns of nature lesson 27. And then a resource, how to draw birds. So patterns of nature is this rod and staff workbook set. This is the student workbook. This is the teacher's manual. Very simple. So it says lesson 27, page 111. So we're going to talk about songbirds. Whoops. Here you go. So it has some pictures they can color, and it has some information about songbirds here. And then it has some for you to do. These are basically questions to see if they've remembered what they just read. And that's it. Then it goes into the next lesson. And the teacher manual for that gives the answers. Page 32. There we go. There's all the answers to the questions. Then it also gives extra activities. We found this pretty fun. In the apple unit we did, we actually cut open an apple. We dissected a seed from the apple. It was really neat. In this extra activities, it says, see the pattern in the back of the pupil's workbook for a bird mobile. The bird may be colored as a robin, oriole, or red-winged blackbird. Find some old bird nests, tear one apart to see what material was used to make it. Make a feather collection. Mount all the bird feathers that can be found on a Bristol board chart. Label each feather. Okay, so let's go back to the student workbook and see. There we go. Oh, no, maybe that's not the right one. Here we go, the birdmobile. So you can make a birdmobile. All right, and then the resource, How to Draw Birds by John Green. That is right here. And you can use this book to draw birds. In addition, we have the book of crafts, and this book has crafts for every read aloud book. So notice week 2, The Boy Who Drew Birds is on page 7, and it gives you a craft to do. So you'll want to look ahead and see the supplies you will need, and then it gives you directions for the craft. So, and in this one, there is templates if you need them. So for this particular one, you do need the bird template. And so you would go to that if I can get to it. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, and so you copy that. And then, so that's kind of nice that this book is not consumable because you can use it with multiple kids. You can also use it for multiple years if you need it. All right, so that is how that goes. Everything ties together so nicely. And then there is a spot on each week for teacher notes. And then you see here under the science section, I forgot to show you this. Define ornithology. Talk about important contributions Audubon made to ornithology, including his theory on homing and his discovery of 25 new species of birds. Consider why his drawings were also so significant. And take the composition and sketchbook outside and sketch a bird. So that's, again, this and sketch a bird. You can use your How to Draw Birds book. You can identify one of the birds outside and figure out how to draw it with that book. And then, of course, Patterns of Nature, Lesson 27. We already went over that. And resource, How to Draw Birds. Okay, so again, I'll flip back through this a little bit. There is a lot of information included. So again, this kind of reminds me of a 5 in a row type of style. Super fun, includes a lot of great things. As you can see, it includes science and history and art and music and poetry and even language lessons for different things. And what I've found with Memoria Press and with a classical curriculum altogether is that that is the aim, to tie everything together and to really give the kids a beautiful education with all kinds of beautiful things. And so I absolutely love that. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please let me know. But I really, so far, have been loving Memoria Press. Thanks for watching.